everybody doing? Good? So first, I want to say hi to the new subscribers. Thanks for subscribing, commenting. I love the comments, right? One guy called me a kid. Now, when I was in my 20s, that would have made me upset. Now I'm in my 40s, I take that as a compliment. Especially when I see your picture. I'm like, he's an older fellow. Of course I'm a kid to this guy. 20-year-old people, kids. When I was 20, I'd be like, I'm not a kid, I'm a dumb. Now I'm 42, I get it. And then the one guy in West Virginia, I'm trying to remember his name. Bearded Game or something. Beard Gaming. Anyway. Yeah, Ohio, West Virginia. We're neighbors, man. We're neighbors. Scheme of things, we're neighbors. And you're right about the whole thing you said about addiction. I've seen it 100 times, you know. I've watched my mom try it with my brother to the point where she sent him all the way to Arizona to live with our uncle, thinking that was going to do it. Your demons follow you no matter where you go. So, I mean, you got to want to make that change, for that change to actually happen. You gotta want to do the work. You gotta, you know, and even when you want it, it's like that quote, like sometimes you gotta, you know, be looking up at the bottom to realize you made it there, you know? Even then, that work's hard, and you fuck up, but you just keep working, start again, you know? But, yeah. One guy thinks I'm crazy, which is fine. When I was younger, I was fucking crazy. But anyway, enough of that shit. Let's get into this. So, before I get into my troubles and whatnot, and me actually going to jail, spending lots of time there, you know, on my addiction problems. I told a couple stories about like the first times I actually went to jail. There was plenty of times where I could have and didn't. So, and I was reminded of like one of them by somebody like, do you remember that time? And I was like, holy shit, I do. So I thought, you know what? Before we make the next video, get into that stuff, I'll tell you a little story, a couple of little stories, quick stories, about some times where I should have probably gone to jail, and either the policeman was nice enough to just let me go, or he just didn't realize what was going on. So, man, so how old? I was probably like 17 or 18. No, I was probably about 18. Very first speeding ticket I ever got, right? And honestly, my mom was like, hey, I need, you know, a quarter. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I got a guy. I'll go grab it real quick. Well, the dude I was dealing with at the time, like a lot of people, like you didn't just show up and be like, yeah, man, I need a quarter, and then you roll, right? Like you'd be like, all right, it's gonna be, you know, $40, $50, whatever the case may be, and then you got your shit, and then out the door you went. He didn't work like that. You know, I never called him either. I just show up, ring the buzzer at his apartment. If he was home, he was home. If not, not. But he was almost always home. Then you go, he buzzes you. Who is it? Oh, it's Rob. Oh, come on up. Go up. You never, go, hey, have a seat. And then he'd smoke with you, get you all stoned, bullshit with you for about a half an hour, and then say, what do you need? You know? Well, she had to go to work. So, went through our ritual. Woo! I was high as a giraffe's ass. And I left this house and I'm taking the back roads, going home, not paying attention to my speed. think I was like looking down into radio or something. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. And I look up, and there's a state highway patrolman on this backcountry road. Already got he's in front of me. Already got his lights on, like coming my way. And as I passed him, and he turned around, and he got behind me, and I was like, oh no, right? So he pulls me over. This is 1998, 99, you know, something like that. I want to say it was like the summer of 99. And he pulls me over. I don't have a seatbelt on. And he comes up and he's like, hey, you know, I pulled you over. He's like, well, why are you wearing a seatbelt? And I was like, oh, the thing like scratches my neck, you know. That's just what came to my mind. And he says, well, you know, you can buy something that you can put there to stop that from happening. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll look into that. He's like, put your seatbelt on. So I put my seatbelt on, and he's like, where are you going in such a hurry? You know, you're doing 69 in a 35. That's twice the limit. And I was like, oh shit. And he's like, where are you going in such a hurry? And I was like, well, I was just trying to hurry up, go home and see my mom before she went to work, which was kind of the truth in my defense. I wasn't completely lying, right? And he takes my ID and my insurance card and he walks away. He comes back and he's like, you're heading home? And I was like, yep, I'm going home right now. And he's like, when you get home, you stay there. He's like, by the look of your eyes, I could arrest you right now. And I'm sure if I looked in your car, I'd find something. Big bag of weed in my pocket. Of course he's going to find something. Then he's like, I wrote the ticket for 45 and a 35, so you don't have to go to court. It's your first ticket. Don't want to see you get in lots of trouble. Keep your seatbelt on and stay home. And I was like, okay, thanks, officer. And he gives me my ticket, lets me go. Like, I could have gotten so much more trouble, you know, back then. I would have got a possession charge, probably paraphernalia charge, got some tickets. He would have towed my car, you know, like it just would have been all bad. And it's just, but off he let me go, you know. And first speeding ticket ever. I'm gonna say it cost me like $150 or something. I went home and told my mom, and she was like, "You're kidding." I was like, "No." Off she went to work. I stayed home for a while. Then, I think I mentioned before, I was a street pharmacist. I guess you could say. Anyway, I had my car that I told you the first time I got arrested in. My Cavalier with a speedometer was broke on it. And I got pulled over in this car more than once for speeding because I just wouldn't pay attention. And speedometer's broke. I'm going to get it fixed when I get paid, you know. And usually they just, all right, slow it down, and then they let me go. You know, give me a warning. Tell me slow it down, get my shit fixed, off I go. I had this apartment, first apartment I ever had, all by my lonesome. And I was making extra money, you know. So me and my cousin drive out to the neighborhood that I grew up in to go meet with my guy because I needed quite a bit of weight. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't have any big freezer bags." He's like, I'm down to my last one. And I was like, okay. He's like, so I'm just going to dump it in this garbage bag. And I was like, all right. He's like, I'll just weigh them out and then just dump it in there. You watch me do it. He's like, then we'll know everything's right. And I'm fine, whatever. So he's weighing them out. dumping them in there in the garbage bag. He ties it up. I take it. I just threw it on the back seat of my car. Whoop. A little 2-door car. Well, my buddy Brian and my buddy Donnie were behind me. We were going back to my apartment, and I had people at my apartment waiting. Like, quite a few people, actually. And we're sitting at this red light, and when the light turned green, I took off. No reason to do that, but I did. I looked up in my rearview mirror and seen Brian's headlights were so tiny. I was like, oh shit, I'm probably going kind of fast. Then out of nowhere, the lights go up. Whoop, 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 whoop. Like, oh, fuck. Right? And I pulled over, and I looked over at my cousin. I was like, dude, oh my God. Like, we're going to jail. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm freaking out. I know he's freaking out. Stady, again, comes up. He's like, what? Where are you going? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm going home. And he's got the flashlight because it was nighttime. And he's looking around my car. And he's like, well, where are you going in such a hurry? I was like, I don't even know how fast I was going. You know, and I forget how fast he said I was going. But he's like, you took off so fast at the green light, like you were in a race. And I was like, nah, man. I was like, my speedometer's broke, and you know, I haven't had this car that long. I gotta get fixed. And he's like looking around the car, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and he's like, put that out. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I've always been respectful with the police. Never, I don't fight with them. I mean, I know people that do, where they get pulled over and they get all offensive. Like, never, ever. Because they don't get you anywhere, you know? Like, in these vans, there's no windows on the side. This one has windows in the back, but if you see my other videos of my other work vans, there's no windows back there. So when I've been pulled over in these, and when I do, I keep my hands right on the steering wheel. That way they can see them when they walk up, because they don't know what they're walking up to. They're nervous. I keep my hands up here. I talk to them real polite. Yes, sir. No, sir. The whole deal. I've always been that way. And it's probably gotten me out of more than one ticket, you know. Well, anyway, whatever he asked me to do, I'm answering all his questions. He takes my ID and shit. He goes to the back. And he comes right back. Like, he came back quick. And he's... again with his flashlight, he's like, what's in the bag? And I was like, my laundry. He's like, your laundry? I was like, yeah, I just moved into my own apartment. I went to my dad's to do some laundry. He lives, you know, right down around the corner here in Eaton Township. I was like, so, you know, I'm heading back to Elyria. And he's like, goes back to his car, and I mean, I'm trying to like keep it together, not be nervous, you know. He comes back, gives me my ID and my insurance card back, and he says, slow it down, you have a good night. And he walks away, gets in his car. I wait till he pulls out, and then I pull out behind him. Man, I lit a cigarette, my cousin lit a cigarette, I was shaking, I was like this, like, right? Well, when I got pulled over, my buddies went by me. You know, they went around. They're like, holy shit. They know I got pounds of weed in the back seat of my car in a fucking garbage bag. They're like, oh my God. They go back to my apartment where everybody's waiting, telling them what's going on. And they're like, yeah, man, Rob's in jail. Like, oh yeah, they got pulled over. Oh, I know it, right? I don't know why, but once we left, I didn't go straight home. Like, we stopped at McDonald's. And instead of going through the drive-thru, I parked the car, we went inside, sat down, ate some food, right? We were in there for like 20 minutes. The whole time, all these people were in my apartment freaking out. I didn't have a cell phone. I had a pager, if you remember what a pager was. Like, man, they're waiting for me to call from prison or jail or whatever to tell them, like, yeah, this is my bail or whatever, or waiting for my cousin to call or something. I don't know what they were waiting for, but they're like, man. Then I come walking through the door with the garbage bag over my shoulder like Santa Claus. Like, dude. It was like they all saw ghosts. Like, they couldn't believe it. They're like, dude, we saw you get pulled over. I was like, that cop didn't know what the fuck he was looking at. I'm smarter than them. Played it off how cool. Even though the whole time I was shitting myself. I don't know, man. Like, could have went to jail. First DUI I ever got. I could have went to jail. And really my lawyer got me out of that one. But even when I got pulled, I went to my buddy's bachelor party. Stayed up all night long. Was drinking. I should have spent the night there. It was like 7 in the morning. I jumped in his soon-to-be wife's swimming pool with all my clothes on, right? So my shoes was wet, my pants, socks, everything was wet, right? Swam in my underwear for like an hour. I was like, yeah, I'm going home. They're like, oh, stay here. Like, nah, I'm gonna go home. I just wanted to go home. So I drive from North Homestead to Lorain at the time. I was probably 23, 24. I might have been a little older. But I'm like, I'm wearing, I got my shoes my feet kind of just slid in my shoes. I'm in my boxer shorts with a towel around me. My pants are in the back seat. I barely remember getting off the turnpike. I'm right down the street from my house. And I kind of dozed off and rear-ended a minivan. I'm lucky I didn't kill myself or somebody else, honestly. And I bounced off the minivan and I was like, what was that, right? I'm still driving, like, whoa, that was great. What was that noise? And then the van gets up next to me and the dude's yelling, pull over, you hit me, pull over. I was like, what? So I pull over, like, because the lady's on the phone, like, he's running. Like, I'm not running, I'm confused. Then the cops show up, and I'm talking to the cops. I'm like, look, man, I don't know. Then they're asking me questions. I was like, dude, like I said, I'm in a towel. I told them, like, yeah, I was at my buddy's bachelor party, man. They're like, oh, so he was drinking. I was like, yeah, I haven't had a drink in hours, which was true. I was like, I was just tired. I kind of dozed off. I was just trying to go home, So they run my shit. I got no driver's license. My license was suspended. I had no insurance on the car. The car was in my little brother's name. So the tow truck comes. They tow the car. They take me to a police station to give me the breathalyzer. And I was cool with the cops the whole time, like joking with them and shit. And the cop, he even said, like, yeah, man, thanks for, like, making shit easy, not trying to run or fight us. I was like, where am I going to go, dude? I'm a fat kid in a towel. Like, where am I running off to? I didn't even have my shoes on right. Like, so then they give me the breathalyzer. And it was like, in Ohio, the legal limit, I think it's everywhere, but it's like 0.08. I blew 0.083. And the cop was like, oh, man, I thought you were going to make it. Like, he kind of felt bad for me, And I was like, it sucks. My car is already towed, And we're leaving, I want to say it was like the South Amherst police station. Because they were building the new one in Lorain. So we're leaving, and he's like, you got somebody that'll pick you up from county? And I was like, yeah, my mom will pick me up. He's like, all right. I barely remember, like, we pulled out, and I, like, put my head against the window and fell asleep. Well, then I hear the knock on the window, and I'm like, oh, shit. He opens the door, and I get out, And my mom's standing there, and I was like, how'd you get here so fast? And she's like, what do you mean get here so fast? I was like, how'd you get to the jail so quick? She's like, you're at home. And I looked around, like, oh shit, I am at home. You know? So we go up on the porch, and the damn cop, he's like, oh, I don't have my keys for the handcuffs. I was like, what? It's Sunday morning. I just moved into South Lorraine earlier that summer. And the part of South Lorraine that I lived in, they called it Little Puerto Rico. It was prominent Puerto Rican families, right? They all go to church on Sunday morning. Well, here it is, like 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. All my neighbors are like coming out of their house, getting ready to go to church. And the new crazy white guy that just moved in is standing on the porch with the police and his mom in a towel, handcuffed, waiting for another cop to come and bring a handcuff key so he can take my handcuffs off. So I sit out there for like 15, 20 minutes like that on my front porch. And the cop's like talking about my dogs because I had pit bulls at the time. And he's like, oh, those nice dogs. I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. Can you please take these off? So then when he took them off and he finally left, and I went in the house and I was like, man, I thought he was taking me to jail. My mom's like, what happened? So I told her, like, I fell asleep. I rear-ended a minivan. I got no license. I didn't have insurance on the car at the time. They towed my damn car. Now I got a DUI I got to deal with. And I was like, I wonder why they brought me home. And she said, oh, because the car was in my brother's name. My brother had warrants, I guess. So they went to my house, knocking on the door, looking for my brother. My mom answered the door, and they're like, yeah, is Tony here? And she was like, no, he's with his brother somewhere. And they're like, no, we got Rob with us. And she was like, what? And they're like, yeah, Rob's in the car sleeping. Let's go get him. You know, like, the guy felt bad for me. He didn't want to take me to jail. He just took me home. And then my brother comes downstairs like, dude, what happened? I was like, I hit a minivan, man. And I started laughing. Because like, at that point, what am I going to do? It was either laugh or cry. Then the guy I hit found out I didn't have insurance. I thought he was going to sue me. But it turned out that my buddy Charlie, it was his uncle. And I was working with Charlie. I had known Charlie my whole life. It was when I was running the meat market. He was working with me. And he was telling me about it, that this dude rear-ended his uncle. I was like, that was me. He was like, no. He's like, oh, man, he's about to sue you. I was like, fuck. And then Charlie went and talked to him and was like, look, man, this is a good dude. He's got kids. Like, don't do this to him, man. He'll pay for your car to get fixed. Like, it won't cost you nothing. Like, take care of the guy for me, please. And to his credit, he did it. He was like, look, just pay for my car to get fixed. We'll call it good. That's what I did. He went and got the estimate. He brought me the estimate. I handed him the cash. Go fix your car. Like, thank you, you know? Then when I went to court, the judge wanted to lock me up. And my lawyer that I paid for got it to where as long as I got my driver's license back within 6 months and did like the hotel health thing and something else, some community service or something, I didn't have to serve a minute of jail time. So, even when shit goes bad, sometimes things are lucky. You know what I mean? So, if you stuck to this whole video this long, I appreciate it. And like I said in the last one, learn from my mistakes. In the next video, I promise you, we're going to get into some shit. Shit gets real fast. Especially when you're dealing with drugs, right? So kids, stay off the hard drugs. Smoke a little weed, eat a little mushrooms, you know, don't drink too much. This shit makes you look old. So, yeah, man, I'll be back soon. You guys take care. Again, thanks for all the new subscribers. Keep posting comments and whatnot, and I'll be back. Peace.